This is Dead Serious, a show about short horror stories worthy of discussion. I'm Dead Pallet, and I think #gamers should #rise up. Today we're taking a look at Fleming Storage Unit number 98, Ascended Archie, singular, by Eli G04. I think that's how you're supposed to say that name. Apparently their favorite creepypasta is normal porn for normal people. So we're going to see if this story has those kinds of qualities to it. Let's get into it. Unit 98. As soon as the unit cracked open, I could feel the mold and mildew attacking my sinuses like they had someone waiting for them back home. That's a good opening line. Three things became clear as soon as I got a good look inside. 1. A heavy investment in Sudafed was a necessity. 2. Was that they lied about this being a simple and routine pickup. And 3. There have been a goddamn permanent position waiting in my inbox when I got back home. Instead of the 10 to 15 boxes, there were more like 40 to 50, plus a couple filing cabinets, and I had no clue what the cupboard was there for. I thanked God that they comped me on the U-Haul rental. The Subaru wouldn't have even held a quarter of the mountain in there. So apparently someone is paying our narrator to go and pick up these boxes from the storage units, and they are hoping to get a permanent position paid doing this, apparently. And I should also mention, outside of the story, Eli, again, not sure if I'm saying that name right, is a patron, and that's why I'm reading this story specifically. But continuing on. They're a patron. I'm also going to read Levecki's story, then I'm going to start at 132 and go down. Anyway, I've been through Havre a few times, but this was the first stop. They hadn't told me this place was going to be this packed. Alright, now we get attending patient, Dr. A.B. Northstein, patient Bernard Bernie Potts, reason for report, medical update. So I'm not sure what the weird change in format is, but I'm going to press on and see if we can figure out what's going on here. Bernard came to me today with complaining that his medicine wasn't working and he was seeing things again. This was troubling as I believed that Mr. Potts's delusions were under control. I asked him to describe what he saw, and he related something quite troubling. He stated that he had been playing cards at a table and something in a large mounted mirror caught his eye. He described seeing a man sit down in the chair across from him. The man was wearing an orange knit cap and a red and gray sweater. Bernard turned to ask what his new partner would like to play, and saw that he wasn't there. He looked back at the mirror, and the man met his gaze. He looked surprised and then waved, putting his finger to his lip, and stood and walked out of view of the mirror. Bernard immediately became agitated and asked Nurse Barkin to see me as soon as possible. It is sad, but it looks like we're going to have to up his dosage. He was doing so well. So we've gotten this weird, unexplained shift in what's going on in the story. It starts off a narrative about a man going to, in past tense, going to the Fleming storage units, and then it switches to be this file format, and it's not explained whether these files were picked up there, and they're reading through them, or what's happening exactly, and that's unclear and needs to be cleared up, I would say. But let's press on. We do have, in the file, someone having, what's the term? a psychosis. They're schizophrenic. They are hallucinating things. They're having visual hallucinations, specifically in a mirror, and they are upping the dosage on this Bernard Potts individual. All right. Attending physician, Dr. A.B. Nordstein, patient Margaret Pions. Reason for committal. Margaret Pions is a 22-year-old woman from Anaconda, Montana. She is 5'2", with medium auburn hair and a very thin build. The family of Miss Pions decided that they could no longer keep her in after the incident in July of 1909. Margaret displayed several phobias, including arachnophobia, agoraphobia, entomophobia, somniphobia, and hypophobia, as well as several obsessive-compulsive behaviors such as washing her hands upwards of 40 times per day, meticulously cleaning every surface of the room she resides in far beyond necessity, and repeatedly checking all entrances and windows to make sure they are completely sealed. So here we're establishing that that physician, Dr. Nordstein, is working in the early 1900s, and Margaret here has an affair of spiders, insects, large spaces, sleep, and being hypnotized as well. Binging the term hypnophobia, it seems like it's an antiquated term, so that might make sense. And they have obsessive-compulsive behaviors, which I think is interesting. Dealing with an individual who has extreme fears. Let's see where this goes. These behaviors stem from an incident when Margaret was a child. The young lady was awoken one night by a tickling underneath her nightgown. She turned on her bedside lamp and lifted her nightgown. That must be a typo. To discover a large spider making its way up her leg. Without a second thought, she brought her hand down and smashed the little monster, which changed her life forever. Okay, there's going to be a bunch of little spiders that come out of this big mother spider. This is a species of arachnid named Leucosa carolinensis, more commonly known as the wolf spider, which is a fascinating parent. It holds all of its young on its back until they molt for the first time. When young Margaret slapped the arachnid, over 100 tiny spiders swarmed out of their mother's corpse and all over her body. She screamed until she passed out, but no one came to help. Her mother took morphine to sleep, and her father worked during the night. Alright, so that's a very traumatic thing to go through, and very dark subject matter. That would really traumatize a person. She refused to go into her room for almost a full year, preferring to sleep in the living room. Even when she went to bed in her room, she would often find herself being woken by her father, holding her mother tight in their bed. The hand washing started soon after, just an extra time during normal periods, but it quickly progressed to 5 to 6 times per washing. Her hands would often run crimson from the skin being scrooged away. Oh man, I don't know why I'm having trouble with that word for some reason. I guess it is just scoured away. Okay, that makes sense. You're having this kind of behavior that irrationally developed around that. The years of therapy were finally starting to show some progress when on July 4th her parents convinced her to leave her window open to watch the fireworks at the family barbecue. A small spider slunk through the window, and upon seeing it, Margaret did the only thing that made sense to her fragile mind. She went to her father's liquor cabinet, grabbed the scotch, and lit the room on fire. No one was hurt, but her parents decided that Margaret's actions were more than they could handle. Okay, so far we have 2 unrelated stories, but bearing in mind the fact that our author's favorite story creepypasta is normal porn for normal people, which does have this shotgun style. Maybe it is just looking into the lives of various people that this doctor had tried to coach through their problems. For the first time, when you have someone who has had that kind of psychotic breakdown, you will get those kind of irrational decisions. And again, the phrasing there of her fragile mind, that is what a fragile mind would do, and it's been broken by this traumatic incident. Getting that insight into this person, I think, is interesting. Pressing on, attending physician, Dr. Redacted, looking for the name of an actual doctor from that time. Oh, okay. So this is a work in progress, and they haven't found the name for an actual doctor, assuming they are trying to find like a real-life doctor name. Patient, John Doe. Reason for committal, court order. John Doe was recently convicted of the cold-blooded murder of Dr. Arliss Bertram Nordstein and his beloved son, Archibald. They will be missed. When the police arrived on the scene, they discovered the doctor had been stabbed in the abdomen several times, and Archie had, luckily, some might say, had died upon fright upon seeing his father being murdered in cold blood. So the child of Dr. Nordstein died just out of fright, apparently, just out of pure shock of seeing their father killed. The father that, obviously wrote the two previous breakdowns of Bernard Potts and Margaret Peon. While searching the house, they discovered John Doe laying in Archibald's bed, caressing the young man's pillow in a perverse imitation of a grieving parent. His face was torn to shreds. He had scraps of flesh from it and dropped the scraps at the foot of the bed in front of a small wooden bear as a grotesque sort of offering. The officers commanded the vile, disgusting man to get on the floor. When, against all reason, he stood up in front of the bed and threw himself through the window. He landed below at the foot of two officers with their muzzles trained on his lacerated face. Their muzzles? Like, did they have police dogs or something? I'm not sure what's going on there. I'm also not sure about the phrasing of this. This is supposed to be some sort of, medical document, I would suppose. So the editorializing of vile, disgusting man doesn't make a whole lot of sense. He explained... Oh, okay. Once the doctors got him stable, he was rather quickly convicted. He explained when arrested that he was going to perform a ritual to fix something. He was put in our care soon afterwards. Directions. All employees must read this to themselves. Supervisors will question you afterwards on the information held within. So we don't get really an explanation as to why this person was doing this offering. I guess these are just three basically unrelated stories, besides the fact that the attending doctor was killed in the last one, of people with severe mental illnesses, and dealing with those mental illnesses, which again are in upon itself very real life horrors. And that's the directions that I gave to everyone participating in this. And so they're fulfilling this quite well, but I do have problems about the connective tissue of how all of this is placed together and where all of this is coming from. With this part where it says directions and then in all caps, all employees must read this to themselves. Supervisors will question you afterwards on the information held within. Are these case studies that are really important or for some sort of test? That's a weird thing to put forward. But anyway, and just how we get these files. Are they the files in the storage unit? Is the person who was narrating at the beginning of this reading these files? I think that's how this is supposed to be working. By the orders of Dr. Find a real name for this physician, all references to Dr. Nordstein are to be erased from the record, and he shall not be acknowledged by that name any further. He is John Doe as of this moment. We cannot have that stain on our great legacy or his. I shall keep his belongings in my personal cupboard. They include the following items: 3 personal journals, 1 electric Christmas tree stand, 1 file storage box containing all the files signed off on by John Doe, 1 3-inch carved wooden bear. If any of these items come up missing or the details of the true nature of these events comes out, no one will be left unscathed. So I'm not sure exactly what to make of that. It is clear that there is a John Doe, but it's unclear if there are 2 John Does or what. I think what they might be getting at is that this John Doe is Dr. Nordstein. They have been erased from the records, and there's some sort of conspiracy here. I'm trying to quickly look through the other attending physician things and see if there's anything necessarily amiss. It could be possible that they're upping the dosage on Bernard Potts just to do so. With Margaret Peons, there's nothing really out of the ordinary there. She's dealing with this breakdown, this mental breakdown. Everything else seems above board. The question is, if Dr. Nordstein is the John Doe in this scenario, then what caused them to have this mental breakdown? I'm not sure. Do let me know what your theories on this story are in the comments. Leave some constructive feedback for our author. That'd be great. Overall, I do like the little short glimpses into these, 3 different cases. Want them to be linked together. Scrolling down, it looks like they're, still struggling to figure out how they get our narrator to read the files. But bearing all that in mind, I think that there's the start of something good here. Now, if you enjoyed that, consider helping out the community and supporting my channel. You can support the community by conversing in the comments below and going to toospooky.com. That's TOO spooky.com for more original horror stories. While you're at it, look into The Hyper Realist on YouTube, a podcast where a writer, Slimebeast, musician, Abysme, and myself, Talentless Hack, discuss what's killing creepypasta today. Thank you so much for your time, and now on to our sponsor at this non-moment in time, which is Safety Dance. Safety Dance. You can dance if you want to.